The 19th century is defined by two giants: the tempestuous, dark genius of Lord Byron, representing romantic chaos, and the imposing brass and iron gears of Charles Babbage's Analytical Engine, embodying pure mechanical order. Their collision set the stage for a new form of genius. Annabella Milbank, the princess of parallelograms, meticulously charts equations, her face stern with analytical focus. She sought to impose rigid discipline and mathematical precision on her world, a stark contrast to her poet husband's excesses. This discipline formed Ada's logical inheritance. At the intersection of these warring forces, the passion of poetry and the cold precision of calculation, stands the young Augusta Ada King, Countess of Lovelace. She inherits a unique and powerful ability to fuse logic with abstract, boundless imagination. Lovelace articulated a future where machines could manipulate any symbol, not just numbers. She dubbed this revolutionary synthesis poetical science, a term capturing the necessary balance between rigorous logic and expansive, abstract human creativity. December 10, 1815. Ada Lovelace is born into immediate infamy, the only legitimate child of Lord Byron. The brief, catastrophic marriage of her parents, a collision of chaos and order, destines her childhood to be a relentless battlefield of competing legacies. Byron, plagued by debt and scandal, flees England forever, shortly after Ada's birth. He signs the separation deed, leaving his infant daughter behind as a remote, mythical figure in her life. The separation became the scandal of Regency England. Lady Byron becomes consumed by the need to save his soul through endless documentation of Byron's correspondence and behavior. This fixation projects onto Ada, transforming the child into a problem to be solved, a living embodiment of perceived genetic chaos. Annabella relentlessly engineers Ada's upbringing as an anti-Byron. She views the poet's legacy as a dangerous tendency toward madness and romantic excess, which must be purged through severe, systematic application of logic and reason. Young Ada is subjected to highly unusual and rigorous education in science and mathematics. Her mother intends this academic cage to suppress all imagination, believing that hard facts and cold logic will subdue her inherited volatile temperament. Ironically, the forced curriculum reveals Ada's innate, profound talent for mathematics. Her mind, starved of artistic outlets, pours its full energy into the abstract world of numbers, finding a hidden realm of beauty and structure within the imposed discipline. Prominent instructors, including William Friend and Dr. William King, are brought in to administer the stringent, unusual curriculum. These lessons involve sophisticated proofs and advanced arithmetic, far beyond a typical aristocratic girl's accomplishments. Lady Byron enforces bizarre forms of psychological discipline, forcing Ada to lie still for extended periods. This practice is intended to develop radical self-control, countering the impulsive spirit believed to be inherited from her dramatic father. Every facet of Ada's behavior is scrutinized by a network of friends and informants reporting back to her mother. The oppressive environment ensures that all feeling is subordinated to cold, analytical thought, making her childhood a constant performance. The strict regimen, designed to build a cage around her mind, inadvertently furnishes Ada with the powerful intellectual tools required for computation. She learns to manage vast systems of abstract symbols with unparalleled precision. Ada grows up with the absence of her father, forbidden to view his portrait until her 20th birthday. Byron remains a remote, mythical, and dangerous figure, shaping her identity through his powerful yet unseen artistic influence. At the age of 8, Ada begins suffering from severe migraine headaches. These intense bouts of pain often obscure her vision, introducing an early experience of physical vulnerability and the limits of her physical control. In June 1829, at 13, Ada contracts measles, a devastating illness that leaves her partially paralyzed. She is immediately subjected to continuous, rigorous bed rest, isolating her physically from the world outside her window. Confined to her bed for nearly a year, Ada relies on crutches until 1831. This intense physical limitation proves a paradoxical catalyst, forcing her mind to operate entirely in an abstract, intellectual realm. Severed from physical interaction, her intellect finds liberation. Her mind processes the world not through physical sensation, but as a system of rules, relationships, and principles, the core framework of computational thought. Just before her paralysis, 12-year-old Ada decides she must learn to fly. She approaches this imaginative impulse not as a fantasy, but as a rigorous engineering challenge, embodying her poetical science mindset early on. She systematically studies the anatomy of birds, dissecting the mechanics of flight. Her methodical inquiry seeks to deconstruct the complex natural phenomenon into its component, understandable parts: materials, structure, and propulsion. Ada investigates various materials suitable for wing construction, including paper, silk, and feathers, considering their strength-to-weight ratios. Her early analysis demonstrates a practical understanding of material science and design constraints. She boldly considers integrating a small steam engine for propulsion, revealing a precocious grasp of future technological possibilities. This blend of biological study and mechanical ingenuity defines her systems thinking approach. Ada plans to synthesize her findings into an illustrated book, tentatively titled Flyology. This project, though never completed, showcases her ambition to model and communicate complex systems through visual and textual representation. Her chronic illness, while physically debilitating, hones her aptitude for abstract reasoning. It trains her to see beyond objects, perceiving the underlying logic and structure that governs the physical universe. Upon her recovery, a formidable intellect emerges into society. At 17, Ada is presented at court, captivating London as a popular belle of the season, a dramatic contrast to her isolated, sickly childhood. Her formal education, coupled with years of private, intense suffering, has forged a powerful mind. She is now poised to engage with the greatest scientific and mathematical thinkers of the burgeoning Victorian era. Ada forms a crucial relationship with Mary Somerville, a largely self-taught, formidable mathematician and astronomer. Somerville serves as a powerful role model, showing Ada that intellectual authority is achievable for a woman. Somerville acts as a scientific chaperone, lending Ada credibility and necessary access to the exclusive, male-dominated scientific circles of London. Their correspondence mixes rigorous debates with domestic life discussions. Somerville introduces the 17-year-old Ada to Charles Babbage at one of his legendary Saturday night soirees. These gatherings are a nexus for the intellectual elite, eager to witness Babbage's latest mechanical inventions. Ada witnesses a small working section of Babbage's difference engine, a mechanical calculator designed to eliminate human error in mathematical tables. The device is a beautiful assembly of polished brass gears and precise mechanics. While others are merely impressed by the mechanical ingenuity, Ada is profoundly captivated. She immediately grasps not just the engineering, but the inherent beauty of the mathematical principles that the machine embodies. This deep fascination marks the beginning of a lifelong friendship and intellectual collaboration. Ada uses her connection with Somerville to frequently visit Babbage's workshop, eager to understand every detail of his calculating engines. Charles Babbage, recognizing her unique insight, affectionately dubs Ada his Enchantress of Number. Their partnership is marked by mutual intellectual respect, despite Babbage's famously irascible and demanding temperament. In 1835, Ada marries William King, later the first Earl of Lovelace. She gains the title by which history knows her, and William proves to be an unusually supportive husband of her intense scientific pursuits. The couple has 3 children: Byron, Annabella, and Ralph. The demands of motherhood and marriage create an internal conflict for Ada, who struggles to balance intense domestic responsibilities with her scientific ambition. Lord Lovelace actively assists Ada's research, copying documents from libraries she is forbidden to enter as a woman. His encouragement allows her to maintain her intellectual life within the rigid constraints of Victorian society. The restlessness born from her conventional role intensifies her intellectual goals. In a resolute letter to a cousin, she declares herself a completely professional person, affirming that science is not a hobby but the central focus of her existence. Recognizing the limits of her self-taught knowledge, Ada determines that she requires advanced training to fully engage with Babbage's revolutionary concepts. She seeks a tutor capable of pushing her to the forefront of mathematical thought. From 1840 to 1841, Ada begins an intensive correspondence course with Augustus de Morgan, the first professor of mathematics at the University of London and a foremost logician. Their letters document her rigorous progression. Their collaboration covers an undergraduate-level curriculum, moving systematically from algebra and trigonometry to the principal subject, calculus. This advanced training is essential for unlocking the theoretical potential of the analytical engine. De Morgan is deeply impressed by his students' analytical capabilities, writing to Lady Byron that Ada possesses the potential to become an original mathematical investigator, perhaps of first-rate eminence. This period of rigorous study provides Ada with the sophisticated tools needed to comprehend Babbage's theoretical underpinnings. She can now look beyond the mechanics and grasp the engine's universal logic. Babbage unveils his far more ambitious concept, the Analytical Engine, a general-purpose, fully program-controlled mechanical computer. This machine is designed not just to calculate, but to perform sequences of arbitrary operations. In Turin, Italy, Babbage presents his plans for the Analytical Engine. A young Italian military engineer, Luigi Federico Menabrea, attends and transcribes the lectures, recognizing the monumental importance of the concept. Menabrea publishes the first detailed account of the analytical engine in a French scientific journal in October 1842. This article becomes the textual catalyst for Lovelace's defining achievement. Prominent scientist Charles Wheatstone suggests Ada translate Menabrea's paper for an English audience. Ada seizes this chance to contribute meaningfully to Babbage's work and solidify her position in the scientific community. Babbage encourages Ada to do more than simply translate, recognizing her unique depth of understanding. He urges her to add extensive annotations, believing she can clarify the engine's potential better than anyone else. Over a grueling 9-month period, Ada dedicates herself wholly to the project. The intensity of the work results in a document of monumental intellectual effort and profound philosophical insight. The translation and extensive annotations, labeled A through G, are published in Taylor's Scientific Memoirs in 1843. In a modest, period-appropriate act, she signed the crucial work only with her initials, A.A.L. Notes collectively become 3 times longer than Menabrea's original article. They represent the most comprehensive, lucid, and visionary description of the analytical engine ever committed to paper. Lovelace's work transcends technical explanation, becoming the first philosophical treatise of the computer age. She establishes a core intellectual framework for the nascent field of computer science. Ada establishes the crucial conceptual separation between the machine's physical hardware, the abstract logical processes it performs, and the data it manipulates. This is the foundational architecture of all modern computing. In Note A, Lovelace makes the crucial distinction between Babbage's earlier difference engine, a mere calculator, and the analytical engine, which she correctly identifies as a general-purpose computer capable of far more. She grasps that the engine's operations are separate from the numbers stored, meaning it can manipulate any abstract symbol. The possibility of processing non-numerical data is the birth of the universal machine concept. Lovelace writes that the engine might act upon other things besides number, provided that their relations could be expressed by those of the abstract science of operations. This defines the criteria for programming anything symbolically. Based on this insight, she makes her most famous prediction. If the rules of harmony could be symbolically encoded, the engine could compose elaborate and scientific pieces of music of any complexity. This prediction, articulated over a century before electronic synthesizers, foresees the entire field of algorithmic composition and computer-generated art, cementing her vision beyond number crunching. To explain programmability, Lovelace employs a brilliant analogy, the Jacquard loom. She compares the engine's operation to the loom, which uses punched cards to weave complex textile patterns mechanically. The analytical engine, she writes, weaves algebraical patterns just as the Jacquard loom weaves flowers and leaves. This powerful metaphor translates a difficult technical concept into a familiar industrial process. Her notes detail how the engine would execute core programming concepts, including looping, repeating instructions, and conditional branching, altering the sequence based on calculation results, giving the machine decision-making power. The culmination of her theoretical work is Note G, where she transitions from philosophy to practice. This appendix contains the detailed, step-by-step method for calculating the complex Bernoulli numbers. The program requires a meticulous table of operations, tracking the precise state of each variable through every calculation stage. This table structure is the genesis of modern program flowcharting and debugging. V3 times V21 goes to V10. This initial step calculates the term 2n, setting up the subsequent complex fractional operations needed for the Bernoulli sequence. Operations 2 through 7 define the sequence for calculating the coefficient A0. Lovelace dictates the precise storage and division instructions to arrive at the fractional value V22, which is then stored in memory. Steps 8 through 11 calculate and add the second term of the main equation, A1B1. This requires recalling the first Bernoulli number, B1, from a memory slot, V6, and multiplying it by the newly calculated coefficient, A1. Operation 12 initiates the looping process by setting an integer counter variable, $V20, preparing the engine for repetitive actions. This is crucial for calculating the subsequent repeating terms of the complex series. Operations 13 through 23 constitute an 11-operation loop. This sequence demonstrates the engine's ability to recalculate coefficients and decrement the counter, illustrating the concept of iteration and automated repetition. Operation 21, V20 minus V1, transfers V20, shows the instruction to decrement the loop counter. When the counter reaches 0, the engine would proceed to the next block of instructions, executing conditional logic. Operations 24 and 25 finalize the result by negating the final sum stored in V25. This step ensures the output is correct for the next Bernoulli number, completing the complex procedural flow. This meticulous table of operations, demonstrating iterative processes and complex control flow, is widely recognized as the world's first published algorithm designed specifically for a general-purpose computer. Within the notes, Lovelace articulates a sophisticated argument on the limits of machine intelligence. She asserts the analytical engine has no pretensions whatever to originate anything. She posits that the machine can only execute instructions given by humans, incapable of genuine creativity or independent thought. This assertion becomes famously known as the Lovelace objection to artificial intelligence. The Lovelace objection remains a central and contentious point in the philosophy of AI, debated by subsequent figures like Alan Turing and modern researchers considering true machine consciousness. The publication of the visionary Notes in 1843 marks the apex of Lovelace's intellectual life. She has achieved the synthesis of logic and imagination she sought, but stability soon gives way to internal chaos. In her later years, the ordered world of mathematics collapses into the chaotic allure of chance. Lovelace becomes consumed by a gambling addiction, focusing her formidable analytical mind on horse racing outcomes. True to her scientific nature, she attempts to conquer chance by developing a sophisticated mathematical model, a system, to predict race winners and guarantee winnings, a gross misapplication of her genius. She even draws Charles Babbage into her disastrous schemes, the two great analytical minds applying their rigorous prowess to the uncertain, volatile world of thoroughbreds, trying to impose order on randomness. The schemes fail catastrophically, and Lovelace quickly accumulates enormous, devastating debts. Desperate to conceal her secret life from her supportive husband, she resorts to desperate measures. To cover mounting losses and maintain secrecy, she twice pawns the valuable Lovelace family diamonds. This action reveals the stark duality between her public intellectual persona and her hidden financial peril. Ada's health, fragile since childhood, deteriorates sharply, exacerbated by chronic digestive and asthmatic problems following a severe bout of cholera in 1837. Doctors prescribe common remedies of the day, laudanum and opium, to manage her intense chronic pain. These powerful narcotics likely lead to reported mood swings and hallucinations, clouding her brilliant mind. In 1851, she is diagnosed with uterine cancer. Her final illness is a long and agonizing ordeal, characterized by excruciating pain and the crude, often harmful medical practices of the era. During her decline, Lady Byron reasserts control, isolating Ada from her friends and managing her affairs with a ruthless efficiency reminiscent of her earlier attempts to control Ada's intellectual life. 3 months before her death, Ada makes a shocking confession to her husband, William. The contents are so devastating that he leaves her bedside, their marriage shattered by a final, undisclosed secret, possibly financial or romantic. Ada Lovelace dies on November 27, 1852, tragically young at the age of 36. This is the exact age at which her father, Lord Byron, had also perished, completing a profound, fatal symmetry. In a final symbolic act of acceptance and identification with the parent she never knew, she requests to be buried beside Lord Byron. Her wish is granted, laying the analyst beside the poet in the family vault. For over a century, Ada Lovelace and her visionary notes are largely lost to history, understood only by a handful of contemporaries. Her pioneering work attracts little attention during the mechanical age. The dawn of the electronic computer age finally validates her vision. Her notes are republished in B.V. Bowden's influential 1953 book, Faster Than Thought, reintroducing her work to modern computer scientists. Alan Turing, a father of modern computing, had already engaged with her ideas decades earlier, specifically addressing and responding to her famous objection to machine intelligence in his 1950 seminal paper. Did she merely annotate Babbage, or did she conceive the software? The prevailing consensus recognizes her unique contribution. Babbage invented the hardware, but Lovelace envisioned the program. In a powerful tribute to her foundational work, the U.S. Department of Defense names a new, robust programming language, Ada, in her honor. The language is designed for critical systems where reliability is paramount. The Ada language is still actively used today in high-stakes fields like space exploration, aviation, and healthcare. This practical, enduring application validates her legacy as a pioneer of reliable systems. Since 2009, the second Tuesday in October is celebrated globally as Ada Lovelace Day. The event actively raises the profile of women in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, STEM. Lovelace becomes a necessary and powerful symbol in the digital age, representing a humanistic and creative origin for a field often stereotyped as purely logical, masculine, and disconnected from the arts. Ada's life was a profound study in contradiction, the daughter of scandal who pioneered logic, the aristocrat who embraced abstract technology, and the mind of order who succumbed to financial chaos. Her enduring contribution was not achieved despite her contradictory heritage, but because of it. The fusion of Byron's imagination and Annabella's analytical discipline created the singular lens of poetical science. This vision allowed her to look past Babbage's brass and iron gears and see something transcendent, the birth of a new symbolic language. She saw a machine not as a calculator, but as a collaborative tool for humanity. She gave the world the concept of the general-purpose computer, the structure of software, and the initial philosophical debate on AI. Her notes articulated the foundational architecture of the entire digital age. Ada Lovelace, the Enchantress of Number, is celebrated today for affirming that the most profound technological advancements are those that collaborate with, amplify, and extend the creative reach of human ingenuity, giving the future a soul.